All right. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody had a fantastic weekend as we dive into some analysis on this beautiful Tuesday morning. So, Bitcoin's rallied a little bit yesterday, even though we had oil strength, which is nice. I like that. Basically, we fell when some fake news of Iran hitting a U.S. warship with 2 missiles that was being, I guess, that was coming straight from Iranian press, but the U.S. Basically within 20 minutes said, no, that is not true at all. So basically Bitcoin rallied after, and that's kind of what we were looking for yesterday. I don't know if this is going to continue. Essentially, I have a bearish bias on the dollar. And as you can see yesterday, the dollar was not bearish. It was actually kind of strong. We took out Friday's high and continued. There's really, there's really nothing for the dollar to liquidate here. So I still have a bearish bias on the dollar, but I would like to see that happen today, or I guess by tomorrow, if it's going to. But because there's really nothing to liquidate here, the next thing for it to get up to is going to be Thursday's high. So I don't really have a great place to mitigate risk here except for yesterday's high. Essentially, that's all I have. So I guess if the dollar's trading above yesterday's high, you have to be very cautious about entering dollar shorts today. So that's basically going to control all of my analysis. I think the dollar is a very commanding force in the market right now. And I think it does, or is, I think a lot of investors have their eyes on the dollar. So that's kind of affecting near-term trades. All right. So anyways, obviously oil, Brent crude rallied yesterday. My bearish bias got destroyed on Brent crude last week. However, we did attempt a short on Friday of last week. Obviously, yesterday that short got stopped out. So, I mean, I do like oil lower, but its structure is bullish on the daily, on the 4-hour. I mean, every time frame you look at on oil is extremely bullish, and it's a very difficult short. So I'm going to leave that alone today. And today I like silver. I like silver for the short if we're going to be short or looking to short a market. Even you could hypothetically look to short Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is currently bullish. You do have, you know what? I like silver for the short, but I feel like we definitely need to look at Bitcoin before that move takes off. But the short on silver is currently playing out. Essentially, I posted this in the last 30 minutes because I was looking for this to be a trap, and boom, there you go. It's a trap. So if it's going to roll over, I suspect it will roll over from here. If you make a fresh day high on silver, then you'll be stopped out, or I will be stopped out of the short. I wouldn't be looking to put another short on it. I don't feel confidently enough in the short to keep throwing short orders out on it after it's set up this trap nicely and is working almost perfectly. All right. So there are a couple things that I don't like about the short setup on silver. I do not like where the POC is. The POC looks like it is going to migrate up. In fact, on a smaller time frame, like a 5-minute, yes, it already has migrated up. There's that. But if silver pops up into here, most likely it's going to break to the upside. The bulls are in control of volume right now. So essentially all I mean by that is the delta volume, cumulative volume delta profile. This indicator down here is not only positive, but it's trending higher. This just tells us that the bulls are more aggressive today. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't roll over, and that doesn't mean that it will go higher. It's just another indicator. That's it. That's all it is. That's it. But anyways, moving on to Bitcoin. So there are so many literally so many resistance levels up here. You could just pick one. You know what I mean? Just pick one. You've got Q4's low. You had April's high, which now you have a higher April high. you've got so many. If we go out to the daily time frame here and go to the all time frames chart, you've got an absolute perfect measured move here. So I mean, there's a lot of confluence for sellers to be selling, but they have been selling, right? They are selling. They have been selling February's high since Bitcoin got up here. Essentially, Bitcoin has been at 78,000 for weeks now. Like, this was April the 17th. This was the first time we liquidated February's high. And then literally it hasn't really gone anywhere. So it's been a very choppy, very sideways, sleepy market. And a lot of people are feeling like there's just not enough bullish pressure here, so that's going to keep them bearish. You could be bearish here, but something to keep in mind, Bitcoin has literally been stopping out shorts since April 17th. Okay? So, I mean, if the sellers were that strong, you think they would have won by now? I mean, we're in May. So that's over 2 weeks of sellers having a perfect short setup and not getting anything out of it. And you also add on to that they're paying a massive premium to hold those shorts. Kind of doesn't feel like it is a short. Now, with that being said, if the dollar breaks out to the upside today, then maybe it does roll over. Looking at the 4-hour time frame here, you've only had one candle that has closed down today, period. So like since the day opened, every 4-hour close so far has been up, except that one. So, I mean, it feels like a pullback is coming, but I'm not sure. I'm holding longs on Bitcoin. I got long on Bitcoin Wednesday when we had the Fed meeting. That's when I got long. So there's no reason, I see no reason at all for me to close that position just yet. Although I will take profits on it today because I've basically, I mean, if you got to go all the way back to here. That's how long I've been sitting in the long. So I will take profits today if it gets under yesterday's low. I mean, yesterday's high, my bad. So basically, if Bitcoin breaks back down below 80,700, I'll probably take profits on that long and look for new long entries in a couple days when Bitcoin pulls back. If it pulls back, it could break out here. So the big bullish rally that we've been looking for, that we have not got yet, like that rip your face off rally, that could happen today. That could happen tomorrow, right? It can happen at any point in time moving forward. Just keep in mind, there is so much potential resistance here. And that's, you know, it's, I get it. I get why people are short. But yeah, so we have to move this. Obviously, April's over. It's time. Let's go ahead and move this. Oh, not that. Sorry. Give it to me. Okay. Boop. All right, so there's May. Okay, so May's monthly range so far looking pretty good. You could be setting the high a month right now. It is May the 5th. There is that old cliche, sell in May, go away. We've looked at data on Saturday's upload to see if, you know, if the bears actually have an edge on that cliche, and they don't. There was 8 months, 8 Mays that were bullish since Bitcoin's been trading. 8 times you were bullish, you had a bullish close in May, and then 6 times you had a bearish close in May, and the median and average sits at about 5 and 7% of upside in May. So the bulls actually have a very, very slight edge, but it's so small. It's not a usable trading edge in my opinion. But anyways, on the very near term here, it's 9 o'clock. I wanted to get going a little bit early just in case Bitcoin does decide to roll over up here. We're also holding longs on Pingu. It's breaking out now as we're speaking. It also looks like a pullback is probably coming here anytime, because here's your open on Pingu. Every 4-hour close in Pingu has been bullish today. That's a really good day. It's looking pretty damn good. we are long. We've been holding the long since over here on Pingu, and it is now finally starting to break out and move in our direction. So yeah, I mean, that's basically what I'm doing today. The only new position or day trade that I am looking at or taking is going to be here on silver. And if the dollar rolls over, which is my base case, I have a bearish dollar bias. So if my base case plays out, I don't think that would be conducive or good for a short on silver. Silver and the dollar do not trade like that all the time. They're not always correlated or inversely correlated, but any asset like XAG USD, you're trading, it's silver versus the dollar. So obviously dollar strength or dollar weakness can affect silver. So if the dollar were to roll over, which is my base case, then silver probably rallies. However, that doesn't have to happen. And most importantly, I could be wrong on my base dollar case, right? I could be absolutely wrong. That's the thing about price. We never know what it's going to do, no matter what we look at. Use our indicators to help give us a bias, but they don't always work. All right, so yeah, yeah, Bitcoin looks good. Obviously, people are expecting a pullback. The short entry on silver would be 73.86 with a stop up there at the high of day. So the short setup that I'm looking at looks like this. Just a very small little scalp, right? Just looking for something like that. All right. And it looks like you may get an opportunity to put that entry on. Gold looks exactly the same. Looks exactly the same. So I like silver better. Silver moves more. If we look at silver's long-term analysis, it's choppy, very sideways here. We've had a blow off top on silver back early January, and you know, this is what we said silver would most likely do for a long time, is build in a gigantic range, and over time we would basically be able to see, you know, are the buyers buying it or are the sellers controlling it? We don't have that confirmation here because we're not in a trending move. You are sideways, you're in a multi-month range. That is typically more bullish than it is bearish. All right, because if you look at the monthly time frame, you're going to see on regular, like, well, let's go look at it on the regular silver chart instead of looking at it on that perpetual swap futures contract. So you can see what I was getting ready to say. But yeah, it's just, this is typically more of a bullish pattern than it is a bearish pattern. I'm not talking about the blow off. I'm talking about the consolidation. Whenever you're trading in a multi-month range, you would be looking at range lows to be a buyer. So the only place I could even, I'm not bullish silver, but if I were, the only place that I could even think about getting long would be around 63 bucks. That's it. And I would only be doing that for like a swing trade long. It wouldn't be like, I'm not going to go to a bullion dealer and buy, you know, 1,000 pounds of silver at $63. That's too expensive still for me. But I mean, that's a subjective take. Obviously, silver could go much, much higher if central banks continue to buy it. I'm just simply stating for my own taste, because my whole life, and I'm an old head. Silver has been under 30 bucks for the majority of my life. So it makes it a little bit difficult for me to be like, oh yeah, I definitely want to double up on silver up here at $73. No, I don't like buying things that are inherently expensive. Silver is, in my opinion, inherently expensive up here. So yeah, I mean, if you want to be a longer term buyer, you should be a longer term buyer around 63 bucks. And that's only if it can stay in that range. If you start seeing a downside trending move under those lows, you're no longer building in a range. You are literally breaking down and trending lower. But I mean, it's in terms of for a short scalp today, I think it looks okay. I think it looks okay. All right. Only time will tell. I don't like that we're this close to support or 3-day support. That could be why we're seeing the POC on silver where it is today. That's one of the things that I don't like about silver. I don't like where, well, you're not going to be able to see it on this chart, but on this one you can. Let me go back to the 30-minute and see where the POC is today. It's down here on the lows. So looking at where the majority of the volume was yesterday, looking at where the majority of the volume is today, it looks like they are buying 3-day support, right? Looks like it. I could probably, let me see here. Is that where my short entry is? It literally is, isn't it? Oh, that's pathetic. All right. Yeah, that's not a great entry, but right in there is going to be that 3-day support. We're trading under the prior 3-day open, so that's kind of good. So if we're going to see downside continuation, then I'm okay with my short where it is. I'm fine with it. Fine with it. You're getting a retest now. Like I said, bulls are in control on deltas, and POCs both look like, probably going higher. All right. So yeah, there's Bitcoin ripping to the upside here. I put on a long entry on US or Euro USD the other day. Yesterday, that position got stopped out. So I tried to buy Euro dollar again today. Hopefully today, that one will work out. We will see. But yeah, things are looking pretty good here. Yeah. So oil is probably going to break down now after it stopped out my position yesterday. Now, obviously, this is going to be a difficult short to catch. You know what I mean? It is. I do think it's going to roll over because I'm an optimist. Optimistically, the economies around the world just will not do good with higher oil prices, and governments will do anything and everything they can to get these prices down. So that's ultimately why I have a bearish case on oil. The pessimist in me, because every now and then the pessimist does come out. Obviously, I think oil could go higher, but it's just not my base case. All right, Bitcoin breaking out nicely here. That's pretty good. That's what we want to see as we are long and strong. Hopefully everybody's having a good week. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Good morning, afternoon. Pingu finally moving decently, says Oxum. Yeah, it is. It is finally. There was a lot of resistance here. Lots of resistance. Look at all of those 4-hour wicks, man. Look at all of those 4-hour wicks. Okay, so silver just pushed up and stopped me out. All right. So there you go. There you go. Where the weekly open is way up there. So maybe that's a better place to look for it. Maybe the short on silver isn't going to happen today. Maybe it happens next week, tomorrow. Who knows? Where is that weekly open? Let's type that in there. Oh, it set up an absolute perfect bull trap here and then confirmed the trap, but it's only a 30-minute. Obviously, 30-minute traps aren't as good, but there you go. Yeah, it wasn't a perfect setup, and that's what happens. That's what happens. That's why it's best to take only perfect setups, obviously. I mean, it could still roll over, but I think that's pretty much setting up the other side. So now this thing could essentially rally for the majority of the open or for the morning. All right, let's go take a look at Tesla real quick. Tesla's rallying. So Tesla did build in a support zone down in here. It set a bear trap too, and then kind of rallied the next day. And it's been bullish ever since, or, rallying ever since. I think Nvidia could be a long down here, near-term long. I don't like buying it where it currently is, and I mean, on a day trade, Nvidia could potentially be bought if February's high holds a support. So on the bell, if Nvidia were to come down to 197.62 and hold that area, I could potentially look for a long scalp there. So I'll set an alert on Nvidia. If we could get a 2% move to the upside today, that would be nice. In terms of positioning and the portfolio, here it is. These are the positions I'm currently holding. There's the Bitcoin long. It's up nicely. And then Pingu. This is very much under positioned because I took money off the exchange. I pay myself every time I get up to 10K. I rip it back down to 1. So my positions were kind of small at the beginning of last week or whatever. Obviously, it's building up, and that's what we want to do. I know you can see that oil short up there. It's hard for me not to take the damn trade, but it is what it is, right? My trade from yesterday got stopped out, so I lost $45 on that trade based on the funding rates because I set in the short all weekend. So, yeah, it's just not a trade I can alert. That's all. I can't really tell you guys to short it because literally it can keep going higher. Any one of these swing lows can get bought up. There's just too much risk at this point on oil. Every single headline that comes out of Iran could literally make oil go up. It's just, that's the way it is. And Iran is not very friendly. They are not playing ball. They do literally the opposite of whatever the U.S. acts like they want. So if I was Trump, I would try some, I would try some reverse psychology on the old Iran and see if that would work. They want to act like a kid. I would treat them like a kid. I don't know. I'm glad I'm not the president. I don't have to worry about that garbage. So anyways, moving on. Bitcoin looks absolutely fantastic for continuation higher. Today is Tuesday, and Tuesdays and Wednesdays are the favorite days of the week to look for a potential week high or week low. So if I was looking for that weekly high to be here on Bitcoin today, this is where I'd want to see it come in. But obviously I don't have a bearish bias on it, so I'm not going to be looking for a short on it. You can see that you are coming up to the 200-day exponential moving average for the first time since you lost this beast all the way back here in November. Sorry, it actually happened November the 3rd. Thought it was in October, wasn't. So there it is right there. You lost it there. This is the first time you've gotten, well, you haven't retested it yet, but you're really, really close to doing that. The 50-week EMA is all the way up here. There's still plenty of room where you could literally say Bitcoin could roll over anywhere under 87K from the yearly opening range and down. You just have so many resistance levels. I would argue that you're probably getting closer now to a pullback than, say, last week because you're back to overbought. Overbought doesn't mean that it's going to roll over. I'm just simply saying for profit taking, because you gotta have the sellers more aggressive than the buyers, whether it's short sellers or profit taking sellers. So I mean, probably if you think about it, I've been accumulating since 67K. I mean, up at 81, would that be a profitable trade? Absolutely it would be. Depending on how many Bitcoin I bought, could be a very, very profitable trade. But yeah, I like it. I like it. But obviously, we know the pullback could happen. It's just, I'm not looking to try to time that. That's all. But yeah, I like it. It looks really good. You got a golden cross on the 4-hour a long time ago, and it's been just essentially grinding higher ever since. I literally wanted to see a 4-hour 200 retest. I didn't get that, but this was the closest that actually came to happening, right? On Wednesday of last week. Literally the closest we got to it. But looks really good on the near term. I would hold that sentiment moving forward. Essentially, for our 200 EMA retests, I would be a buyer. I think the lows are in. I've been thinking that for a long time. I'm not calling the lows are in, obviously, because why do that? I mean, nobody can see into the future. So for anybody to say, there's more lows coming, they don't know that, obviously. Bear markets are when you're supposed to buy. If you want to be a long-term investor, you're supposed to buy in weakness. You're supposed to buy when everybody else is afraid to buy. That's when you're supposed to buy. Yeah, that has come and gone. Will it pull back? Will it give you another chance to buy? Of course it will. Of course it will. But in terms of a multi-month range, you're no longer in one up here. You have broken out of the range. So for everybody to act like, oh, it can keep rallying and eventually make a new low, okay. I mean, if it's not going to happen when there's a full-on potential war happening, you know what I mean? What more would you need for the bears to be able to run this? Quantum computing? Okay. That risk is still out there, so fair enough. If quantum computing happens tomorrow, then yeah, we'll probably see new lows. You know what I mean? But that's an if. But I mean, yeah, you've broken out of your February range. You could fib the yearly range, maybe. Let's see what that looks like. Real fast. Yeah, I mean, up here, you're above the midpoint. So, yeah, I can see it roll. Like, this would be the last place. I mean, at this point, you're no longer bearish on the year. Like, I've been saying this for weeks, guys. At some point, you have to break that bearish bias. You can't. This is where people get into trouble. They look at past data and they try to project that onto the new chart. Everything that happened in 2025 is over with. It's said and done, right? People have already paid taxes on 2025. I mean, you're in a new year. Now, anything can happen. So basically, this is the only data you should be looking at. And if you're only looking at this data, it still does look a little bit weak. It does look bearish. Your bearish bias is, in my opinion, is still legit, and it will be as long as you're under 87,554, as you are down on the year. But you're up off the lows almost 35%, a little bit more. Yeah, 35%. You're up off the lows. You're still down on the year. You're still down 7% on the year. So, I mean, I guess, it is what it is. We'll see what happens. I think if the dollar rolls over, Bitcoin rallies hard. All right, that is my base case. Okie dokie. Okay, let's go back over here to silver real quick, because I still like it lower if it fails to close the 30-minute candle above this previous close here. We got 10 minutes left on this candle, and I am okay to take another short on it. I can take 3 trades on these things. Up to 3 entries. As that's the way I mitigate my risk. Oh, it could still potentially be a short. I don't have anything short. So let's go see if Fartcoin's a short. Fartcoin has like no volume. I would probably be extremely bullish on Fartcoin with this structure, if Fartcoin had a use case, because it doesn't have a use case, I just can't be like, oh yeah, this is a great investment here. I mean, it's a meme token. There just isn't any volume. I mean, it hasn't really been moving. It did right through here, but that was a massive volatility spike. Yeah, I don't know that I could short this. It's the same thing, man. If the sellers had any conviction at all, they would have been able to break it below 1911, and they just couldn't do it. So looking for a short is very difficult. All right, so when do I want to take profits on Pingu? Probably pretty damn soon, because I still have that Bitcoin position open. So I'm going to go ahead and close the Pingu trade, take my 466 bucks, and then just look to reposition later, because I'm under positioned on it anyways. There's no point in just taking profits and leaving a small piece on. What is Bonk doing? Bonk is actually pulling back. Well, no, it isn't. No volume in this thing, man. These are 30-minute candles and they look like this. The crypto market just doesn't have much volume on it. Zcash. Back to ripping. Ripping. Yeah, we were all, what was the other one that we look at? USDJPY. Yeah, I like USD lower. It's just too expensive to hold long-term shorts on USDJPY. Last time I looked at Forex.com, they're charging $3.50 every day. Every day you get charged $3.50 on every 10,000 units held short. So if you own 20,000 units, that would be $7 a day. And USDJPY has a really bad habit of going sideways for months at a time. I would definitely not want to be paying $7 a day, because eventually your P&L goes to zero. The money that you had is gone. What is going on with this thing? All right, back over to silver real quick. 6 minutes, 30 seconds. Nice little stop run there. This is the price at which I'm okay holding shorts. So if it rolls over from here, I want to get back involved. I guess the previous 4-hour swing high is where I would try to get that in. So, I still don't like it in terms of the indicators, but I need to have something opposite a dollar short bias. At least one position to mitigate all of the longs. So, of course, I mean, they had it. The sellers had a perfect setup on it. Come back up here. Good morning, Heath. Rivian is on my watch list and liking around here for a long. Appreciate your thoughts. Yeah, we can go look at Rivian, as it doesn't look like Nvidia is going to give us an opportunity. MicroStrategy looks good now. All right. I mean, the chart looks like an absolute turd. Could this be a long-term bottoming formation? It absolutely could be. I mean, it looks fine. Same scenario. You're at the bottom of last month. So here's the problem with Rivian. It's like, do you buy last month's low, or do you wait on a 1351 retest? As 1351 is the range low. But it's been making higher lows for the last 3 months. Higher low, higher low, higher low. So, yeah, I mean, I don't mind you buying here. Like, I don't like that momentum, obviously. I do not love that momentum. I hate the momentum, man. I don't like the way the momentum looks. I would much rather this be a retest of the 50 from the top side. But you rarely ever get like the perfect setup. Like that very rarely ever happens. I could make the case that I could be a buyer at 1443, but I would definitely have a stop at like 1375. And then I would see what price does once it gets down to 1358. And then that's it. That's how I would approach it. I don't like the long-term chart. All right, so there's the retest of the prior highs on silver. This is where we would want to see those sellers hold firm if they're going to be able to get that continuation move lower. I'm not going to let this thing chop me up today either. So the buyers could definitely get this. You could still be putting in a bear trap on the 30-minute on DXY, though. The DXY could hold support here. Just like oil could ultimately be setting the day low. The 15-minute chart looks bad for a short. So I think I'm gonna see if I can I want to see what it does and it gets back up to here. Because if it breaks out, I'll just close the limit. Because this looks like it wants to go up. There's no point in jumping in it just yet. All right, this is a very, very small range candle. That's this wick right here. So 73.90 is what I've got in my... Yeah, 73.90. All right. Let's go ahead and try it one more time at 73.90. Open short, yes. Okay. I guess your stop has to be hive day. Again, it doesn't look good. I like that we're seeing heavier selling pressure show up though, but it's not heavy enough. I'll let you know when I get filled. I'm the next ask, so I should get filled pretty easily. The 73.90 and 73.90 on this chart aren't the same. Right now it's at 73.85. I have not been filled. Okay, we got the New York Open, so one more push here on Pingu. $9:30, the bell has ringed. Ringed. I got filled on 3 cents on silver. 36 cents on silver. I've been filled 36 cents short. I'm on limit, and sometimes it's hard to get fills on limit. But I'm gonna set there at 36.90 and see if, or sorry, 73.90. See if it can bounce it back up and fill me. I don't love this. It's setting at 73.90, but it's just not filling me. I don't understand. Yeah, it hit 73.90 again. It just didn't fill me. 73.87. It's holding firm at 73.87. All right, I'm gonna have to go down a little bit. Open short at, let me cancel that. Open a new short at 73.87. Actually, I'm gonna go down to 73.86. We got 73.84 on the bid. 73.84, 73.84. $73.75 is on the bid, and price is at $73.84. So I'm gonna have to chase it. $73.71. This bitch is gonna go without me. Oh, you bastard. How are you gonna fill me only 36 cents, bro? The 4 hour still looks okay, right? It still looks okay for the bulls. If we get down there, I'm gonna stop chasing it, which is right here. Come on back up to 73.80, dude. Pingu is putting in a very, very near-term top. Bitcoin did kind of the same thing. Aggressive spike up with a midpoint lead, drop back down to the midpoint and closed. So this is where your sellers are jumping on Bitcoin at the high of day. It's the only level they have. Be careful. I don't think that's what you're gonna get. That's why I'm not gonna chase silver. I tried to get filled and it just didn't fill me. It stopped me out right there. That's trading, you know what I mean? That's the stuff we can't predict. So it stopped me out. I was too hesitant about putting on that 5-minute spot, that spike right here. I should have got filled. I didn't. It is what it is. I'm not going to chase it lower. That's not going to happen. Oh, well. Can't catch them all. I'm going to go ahead and close that limit up. And close the 36-cent short that I'm holding. There's no point in holding a short with 36 cents. Okie dokie. So it looks like it's just going to be rided out on Bitcoin as I'm closing the Pingu long here. I would not open fresh shorts on none of these. On none of the cryptos, I mean, they all look okay. So we were looking at ontology the other day. I got stopped out of it and I never re-added to it. But on Sunday, we were looking for it to stop going lower here. This is where my short was. So I was just a little bit early. Early is still wrong. Just like on silver, early is still wrong. You gotta be a little bit better at timing. It's a difficult thing to do, but this was a really good signal. Once I ate the stop, like once this wick came down and took out my stop, I saw the email and I never pulled the chart back up. It was Sunday. I didn't really care. You know what I mean? But if I would have looked at it later on that evening, I would have definitely tried to get filled here again, as we were looking for this bear trap to happen. And it did happen. It's not really moving though. I wanted to see heavier volumes come in, and you're just not seeing that. I still think it's fine. I think the trap is set. If it can break out above the resistance, if you're long ontology, keep holding it. That's all I would say on it. If you got long based on that signal, just keep holding it, and maybe you'll see volume come in and maybe you'll get a big squeeze. This thing can move. It just hasn't yet. So just keep holding it if you're holding the long. I think you're fine. All right, Nvidia, what's Nvidia doing here? Nvidia did not come down here. It still looks okay for the long. I mean, I don't like the idea of buying it up here. And if I was going to buy Nvidia, I would have wanted to buy right there. So I can only buy there if it retests it. I do not want to be a high of day buyer. Yeah, I'm going to keep that alert situated. And then there's just no trade on Tesla. Oil still not doing anything. Dollar not really doing anything yet. The SPY looks like it's fine to continue higher. Yeah, SPY higher. Everything looks good. Nice little pullback on Bitcoin at high of day. My girlfriend is holding a futures long on Bitcoin since 70,004. $400. Good job. Tell your girlfriend good job. It's a good trade. Outperforming all my gambler friends shorting since then. Yeah, shorts have been getting annihilated. I posted a thing this morning talking about that. You can literally see, if we go all the way back to where I got long, right? See how the POC is up above the midpoint every single day? Even here, it was at the high of day. All right. It doesn't look like it, but if you go out, right, this was the high of day. So when this POC was formed, it migrated up. So even on this day, every single day, sellers have been shorting the high of day on Bitcoin. Right here, you set a fresh day high, sellers jumped on it, and then later on in the session, good night sellers. And then yesterday, with that false news, you had a nice rally on the open, then that fake news came out, people sold the high of day, selling, big sellers, big move lower. This big move lower right here pulled in all the new sellers. So many people were looking to sell right there. And I literally posted, this is most likely going to make high day. Go right back up to the high. And then rally. This is a BART pattern, and BART patterns flip, right? If you're in a bear market, the bullish BARTs you want to sell into. When you're no longer in a bear market, you want to buy the bearish BARTs. So big bearish BART, boom. That pulls in all the emotional sellers. So everybody that had been shorting Friday, then Saturday, then they were shorting again on Sunday. They see this move, they're like, screw it, Bitcoin's going higher. Then they see this and they're like, oh, I knew it was going to roll over. Then they jump on. And then boom, they get smoked. And then Bitcoin goes on to rally. They have been here, trust me. They just getting their heads kicked in. And they're not going to stop. That's the way they're just going to keep shorting. They're going to keep thinking they're right, that it's going to roll over, and they'll do it all the way to highs. They'll do it all the way to all-time highs. The human mindset is something very difficult to change. Once you set something to task, if you're a stubborn person, once you get it in your mind that Bitcoin's going to roll over, you'll short that bitch all the way up to $1 million. And then once your account's gone, then you will realize, well, I probably should have not done that. Yeah, you got to allow price to dictate your bias. It's king. Price is king. It tells you, it literally is telling you that, yeah, the bear market's over. It's been over for a long time, right? The VIX is, where's the VIX? VIX is trading at 1741. Is that still elevated? Yeah, it's above 15. But with Trump in office, I would argue that an elevated VIX probably needs to go from 15 to 20 because he's such a polarizing person. He causes volatility. So for the VIX to be at 17, when vol goes down, that means the bears are no longer in control. Like, it's exactly what it means. So for everybody to continue to think that the bears are still in control of Bitcoin, there's just no objective data that supports that. Are the lows in? Well, that's something nobody knows, because a World War III could break out, or a nuclear bomb could be detonated, and then that would be what drives the new fear side selling, not all of the things leading up to that point. Right? People are making investment decisions on a daily basis. No real professional investors are looking at 2018's chart and dropping a fractal on it and then getting bearish on Bitcoin right now. That's just not what real big money does. That's what YouTubers do to get clicks and views with. They're not investors. Not really. They're YouTubers. Yeah. Bitcoin hasn't been bearish for a long time. The chart looks like shit, and you're under the 50 EMA on the weekly time frame. So at best, you can say Bitcoin is still structured weak. It still has a weak looking structure. And I would agree with that. But to call Bitcoin bearish, there is no objective data that supports that theory. None. None. Every month, like since you put the lows in, each month has just been moving higher. Now, it could be a dead cat bounce. I get it. But I mean, I think there's just been too much time in this consolidation formation to call it anything other than a consolidation formation. You've left the range. So like on Wyckoff, on any Wyckoff model that you look at, your springboard has happened. You're rallying. Higher lows is a pretty good sign that the bears are done. When the higher lows start to form, you can still have a bearish bias, but you have to at least understand that for whatever reason, the bears are no longer getting continuation. So that has to come into play in your mind at some point. If for you ever to essentially stop being a bear. You know what I mean? Because you'll just continue to you'll short every bullish day. And you can't do that. So let price be your guide. Let it give you your bias. Let it dictate your directional bias. It has been going up for the last 5 weeks. 1, 2, 3, 4 was straight up. Last week was a correction. And it was a legit correction. It did everything we would want to see to call it a correction. Meaning you did not take out the prior week's low. So that's first and foremost. So yeah, it was weak during that week. But it was only a correction at best. You need a fresh low for you to be able to objectively say you are now seeing continuation, right? So, I mean, it really is just that simple. But, so yeah, that was a beautiful correction. Absolute perfect. That's what we want to see. We want to be a buyer on those opportunities, not a seller. But when the bears have it, like they have no trouble breaching prior week lows, but it's not just breaching that prior existing low, it's getting that downside continuation afterwards. That is the key. Like that's how you identify a trending move, because you got the continuation. So same scenario here, instead of looking at this as a bearish or a bullish pullback, here, you would have been looking at this as a bearish pullback. So you would have been willing to be a seller as long as you didn't take out the prior week's high. And you didn't. So yeah, this was a beautiful selling opportunity looking for downside continuation. And then literally every week after that until you set that monthly low, right? Just straight down, down, down. That's what the bears want to see, but that's not what they have been getting. And it does these markets do take a lot of time. They do. But everything that's been happening on the macro side, like all of the selling that we saw when miners were even turning around, selling their Bitcoin and converting some of their mining space and converting that to join the AI bubble or join the AI move, right? So they started to sell Bitcoin. Essentially, Michael Saylor absorbed all that selling pressure. Absorbed it all. Even retail, even all the retail selling. So you want to see fear, a lot of fear in the markets to drive a bearish narrative. You lose that fear angle, you don't have it anymore. That's what bearish is. That is exactly what it is. Like bear markets, people are extremely afraid and they're selling. That's what starts a bear market and keeps it going. I would argue that that fear selling has stopped. So any narrative that you had driving price back here, you do not have here. There has been some macro things that could have kept it going and could in the future make it happen. But as long as this thing is making higher weekly lows, I think people should be buyers, not sellers. All right, so I'm glad. Look what silver did. See how it came right down to that 4-hour open and then stopped going down. So this has, if I was still holding that limit sell out there, I'd be very concerned. Right? I'd be very concerned with that. It still could hold. 4-hour res could still hold. So now you need to see that on the small time frames. So if you're looking at the 30 seconds or 1 second or 1 minute charts, 5 minute charts, this is concerning, right? For sellers. Now look at your deltas. Are they trending lower? No, they are not. So this is a very concerning, very concerning. I would be very hesitant about putting on a short now. You gotta move lower. This thing should have continued. There was no reason for it to stop there other than the 4-hour open. But now it looks like the buyers they have got this and they are in control of it. So you'd be hard pressed to get me to sell this now. This is what I'm talking about. Also, look at what time it is. It's 9:53. Generally speaking, when we get into a position at 9 or 9:30, we want to see that move happen pretty damn quick. Otherwise, we are wrong. Don't I say that all the time, right? Well, here you have it again. The short actually, they got filled at 9:30, and then here you are 30 minutes later, and price is right back to their entry. That's not a great sign. It's not a great sign at all. I would argue that this is not a short. But there's still a slight chance it works. On this chart is a little bit weaker. It's into support. I do like this longer term for downside continuation. I just don't know if it's today. Today you're up on the day. It is a lower high. It's a lower high than yesterday, so that's fine, but the sellers really need to see this thing starting to head lower, or it's just going to be a choppy inside small range day. Which it still looks okay on the 30 minute. I mean, I would be very concerned, but I do like that the POC migrated higher. So that's literally the only thing that I'm seeing here that I like for a downside break. Just be careful if you're still trying to short silver. I no longer really like it. This is a higher low, guys. We want to see lower lows when we have a bearish bias, not higher lows. It didn't make the lower low. It needed to come down here and take this low out. At a bare minimum, that needed to happen, and it didn't. And since the buyers are the aggressors today, I would be very careful about shorting it. Outperforming all my gambler friends shorting since then. Yep. I've been building a position on WorldCoin, mainly for their global identity plus financial system project thing. Thoughts on a long-term hold on this one? I did like it a long time ago when Dan Ives, if you guys don't know who he is, he comes on most all of the financial talking head cable networks. He's a big time tech investor. He looks for disruptive companies to own. When he got put on the board of directors, he took an outsized position in WorldCoin. I liked it back then. All right, I did. And I even attempted a long on it, but I got stopped out of it. So if we go look at it, I mean, long term, could it be an investment? Yeah, I guess. But as of right now, it is still going lower. Now, eventually you're going to see sell side exhaustion. That always occurs. Volume dries up. People lose their sell side bias, their confidence, and you have long-term shorts that have been sitting in this thing that start closing their positions and things like that. So eventually, yeah, I do think you're going to see a spike on this eventually. But timing it is going to be difficult. The sellers are still firmly in control of it. Are we seeing sell-side exhaustion now? I would argue that there is a slight potential. Yeah. These daily ranges are very small to the downside, and the sellers had it like very easily. Like this could have been one of the easiest shorts I've ever taken in my life. So it does look like you're starting to see this sell-side exhaustion. What I simply mean by that is the ranges, the breakdown, like once you made fresh monthly lows, they weren't big expansions. They were just wicks, small ranges. It kind of feels like a lot of people probably took profits there. You see what I'm saying? And since that day, since you made that fresh monthly low, it was also an all-time low on this. Since you made that, what has price done? It's been sideways. It's been sideways. So it looks like probably seeing that exhaustion. Now, with that being said, it is still very bearish. It is still very weak. It still looks like crap. I mean, it doesn't look great. It's like trying to pick a bottom. And that rarely works out. Yeah, the sellers are being exhausted, but you're not seeing demand pick up either. So maybe keep an eye on it on the smaller time frame charts, and when you start to see what looks like demand, then maybe look to start building a small position in it. I would argue you don't have demand yet. I would say, yep, you probably have seen some seller exhaustion. You're just not seeing the buyers come in yet. Unfortunately, I mean, on some cryptos, when that happens, it's so fast, it's so aggressive that we end up coming in too late. Like you already had a 1 or 2, 300% rally. So, I mean, I guess if you're trying to get into it now, looking for that demand side spike, just make sure you have a stop loss at all-time lows. So that way, if it does break down, then you're not getting hurt too bad. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, potentially at some point, you could see a rally on it. In terms of the project itself, I'm not going to give them my retinal scans. No, are you kidding? I know they say it's so advertising companies can track real people instead of, spending millions of dollars to advertise to bots. I get that. But no murder bot in the future is going to be able to use that data to hunt my ass down. So I would say there's a lot of people that feel like me, and they're not going to be giving WorldCoin their retina scans. And then you have others that just don't care, right? Those people will. It has the potential of being a really good technology, but it's one of those things that infringes on privacy a little bit too much. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, dude, to be honest with you. It's an investment, right? All investments, not all of them work. So this one might not work either. Just set a stop. Just make sure your downside losses are mitigated. Chart looks bad AF. Yeah, it does. Good morning, says Tom. Good morning, Tom. Lab USD T for the short. I don't see. There it is. No, it's got bullish momentum right now. It's got too much bullish momentum. There's nope, not for me. This is not where my edge is. My edge is in looking for shorts on silver and using the indicator. Like, I have no edge on this. This is just randomly, it's up, so I must short it. That is not an edge. I can't do that. It is up, but it doesn't mean it's a short just because it's up. Yeah, the last several big spikers that we've seen, the ones, 95 on RSI or something like that, they have not worked out. They have not been working out. The bulls are, when they have the momentum to stand in front of them, is like not working out. So I'm not really interested in taking any more of those trades. Yeah, I'll just keep taking the trades that apply to my edge, where I make money the most. You know what I mean? Like that. If I had, like, if I was on a really good winning streak this week or something, then maybe. But I haven't really been on a big winning streak this week. I mean, my account's up nicely because of the Bitcoin and Pingu longs, obviously. But I need to build that portfolio back up a little bit before I can be like, yeah, okay, I can waste some money on this. Those are waste money types of trades. Coinbase laid out 14% of workforce because of AI. Laid off 14% of workforce because of AI. That's coming, the cottage. It is coming. The cottage. I'm not sure how you're playing the words there, but yeah, it is definitely coming. AI is going, you're going to see this happen a lot more in the future. And then Kelly says, I wonder if Bitcoin will reject at the daily 200 moving average. She's referring to the 200 exponential, I believe. Let's see where the simple is real quick. Oop, that is not the right settings. Let's see where the 200 moving average is. So yeah, it's the EMA. It's about to hit the 200 exponential moving average. It's right up there at 82,094. That's the level she's referring to. And then the 200 simple is at 83,416. You've got the 50 week setting up here at 86,182. Tons of resistance up here. So many levels of resistance. It's like pick one and pray, right? If you're looking on the short side of things. It's anybody's guess because we can't predict what price will do. I would assume the first time it gets up here, it would probably be a profit-taking move for some. Anybody that bought late February, early March, they're probably going to be taking some profits up here. Will that kick off another bear market leg? I doubt it. I mean, ultimately, I believe it would just be another buying opportunity at some, day 21 retest or whatever would probably get picked back up, as that has been the trend since April. So yeah, I would assume there will be some sell side pressure there. We haven't quite got there yet. You've already broken above the 12-hour. You're putting in literally a golden cross right now on the 12-hour chart. So the 12-hour chart is literally almost completely and totally bullish. So any pullback to 75K would be a buying op. Would be a buying op, not a selling op. Strategy's cost basis is down here at 75,528. I got that last week. I'm not 100% sure if that's where his current cost basis is. Let me go see if he's updated that. This doesn't show his cost basis. Yeah, I don't see cost basis here. I need the other one. This is, I don't know where this chart is, but even this one doesn't show his cost basis. I bet you he's done, oh, right here maybe? Yeah. Average cost 75,537. And I have 75 what? 528. So I'll move it up to 537. It's not going to move very much, but still I want to have the most legit, like the actual price. That price is going to be so important moving forward. As long as Bitcoin is trading above this, then MicroStrategy's MNAV is bigger than 1. And as long as Strategy's MNAV is bigger than 1, then they're not threatening a sell-off. So MicroStrategy owns so much Bitcoin that if they're being squeezed, they could potentially be more selling pressure on the market. You can see the MNAV right here. It's positive. As long as that's the case, Strategy is not at risk of needing to sell Bitcoin, as they are making money. So the Bears had everything they needed a long time ago to kick his teeth in. You know what I mean? And they didn't do it. Whether they couldn't or they didn't, it's still the same. So if Bitcoin gets back under that, then I would probably be a little bit more bearish on the near term. My long-term bias is still bullish, but on the near term, I would be a concerned citizen. As long as Bitcoin's above that, though, they're printing money. They don't have to sell. He said publicly he would never sell, but his board said they would. Or one guy on the board said they would if they had to. But I mean, Bitcoin looks fine here. It looks fine. You're no longer in the range. You're above the range. So now you're going to see profit taking and stuff like that. So I would expect what has been happening for the majority of April to continue. Just slowly grinding higher. As long as the volatility is down, that's what you have to anticipate. Michael Saylor could have potentially stopped the bear market. It looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. All right. How is Coin and Circle looking? I don't know. I did not look at them today. Let's go take a look at them. So here is circle, put in a bear trap here, got back above it here. They look fine. This is an old level, we don't need it. Let's go to the daily time frame. Yeah, it looks fine here. It's breaking out. You're seeing upside continuation from last month. Last month was a pullback month. You didn't take out the prior month's low? No? Okay, well then it's just a pullback. Are you above last month's high? Yes. Okay, so it's still in a range. It's still trading inside of March's high. You won't really have any, like, it looks good, but March's high is where the next potential liquidity spot is, or at least where the next major liquidations would occur. I don't see any reason why it couldn't trend up to that point at some time, after time. I wouldn't be anticipating it getting up there anytime soon, but slowly over time it could grind up there. It's not that far away, actually. It could probably get up there pretty quickly if it wanted to. Today doesn't look that great, or at least, you know, on the very near term. You opened up a little bit higher than where you closed yesterday, so it was a gap up, and a retest gap means you're just filling that gap. The buyers could have it. They could run the gamut with it for the rest of the day. If whatever Bitcoin does, this will likely do too, as they do trade very similarly. They're not 100% correlated, but they do trade very similarly. It just got massively overbought on the 4 hour, so you're seeing a slight pullback here. That's probably, it looks good. It looks fine. You're testing the 200-day exponential right now on Circle. And then Coin looks a little bit worse on the near term, on the intraday. Yeah, that looks like a flat out reversal. Okay, let me get rid of some of these things. We don't care about 2025. So at a bare minimum, I want to see support come in at 179, but if this midpoint can hold, so roughly around 190, if 190 could hold as support, you've got a daily support right there. I could be a buyer. So as long as you're not closing daily candles under 189.86, I could potentially be a buyer. I would argue that this is setting up an absolute perfect spike, but it is an aggressive sell-off today. It's a pretty aggressive sell-off today. The dollar is still not breaking down here. This is what's concerning me. So as long as the dollar, if the dollar does not break down, Bitcoin could roll over today. You could see that. There you go. So there's a lower low on the 30-minute. You could see that intraday pressure. So that's starting to make me really wish that I would not have been stopped out of this short. Because now that there's more time going on, I'm starting to see that the dollar is not breaking down. Things are not looking all peachy out there. Oil not breaking down. This could put some near-term pressure on Bitcoin and other risk assets. So I'm out of the Pingu long. I took the profits on it, closed it out completely. So I may look to scalp Pingu on a downside push if 30-minute resistance will hold. And 30-minute resistance is just going to be right here. It's just the highest 30-minute close. Just, it's not, I don't like it as a short. Like, I don't think it's going to collapse today, but it could. I mean, it looks like it wants to continue to go higher, but it does look like the sellers have literally stopped it for now. Here's the thing. The trend is still up on Pingu, and the trend is still up on Bitcoin. It's going to take a lot more, I think, to break the uptrend, and over time it'll be fine. But it has hit overbought on the daily time frame, so you could see it start to find resistance here. Like I said, you could just pick a reason to be a seller on Bitcoin. Yeah, Q4's low. That's right here, by the way. That was your, that was everything. So it is a potential resistance here. I just figured maybe tomorrow, because the bulls had so much momentum today, maybe it comes into play as resistance tomorrow. But they're trying to get it here on the near term. Trying to. We'll see if they're able to or not. Coin looks like they have it, but when was that Coinbase news posted? I seen somebody in the chat said that they had to lay 15% off of their employees off because of AI. Because of AI. Was that news dropped today? If so, then that explains the aggressive selling pressure you're seeing today. But ultimately, I would expect that would be a buying opportunity, as Coinbase wouldn't have to pay so many employees. That could only help their bottom line. Remember, the dollar hasn't broken down yet, and it looks like they're doing a good job of holding support. But it's not trading up at the highs either. Not yet. But oil is spiking a little bit aggressively here. Is there news? Let's go see Financial Juice has to say. Three minutes ago, UAE air defense systems responding to a missile threat. Yeah, Iran started the war back up yesterday. They started flinging missiles everywhere. That's what got oil spiking yesterday. Didn't they shoot a missile into UAE's one and only oil station? Like they have like one processing plant or whatever, and a missile hit that plant. So I would assume UAE probably does send a missile or two Iran's way. Most likely. Pakistan's foreign minister, we're confident of achieving major progress in the talks, have made efforts to reach a ceasefire and start a dialogue. Al Jazeera. Yeah, I don't believe anything that comes from Al Jazeera. Ever. If that headline is being reported on, reputable news sites, then maybe it's true. Financial Juice just posts the headlines. He doesn't take sides, or sometimes it's fake. Like they posted that news yesterday too, but that ended up being fake news. We also had data coming out today in terms of JOLTS. You had JOLTS being reported, which I'm not seeing anything there, and then ISM services, it's above 50. That's good. As long as it stays above 50, that's pretty damn good. No really huge news on the jolt. So I would assume that oil spike is happening based on that last headline we just looked at. The UAE air defense is responding to a missile threat. Yeah, Iran says ceasefire is still in good shape. We haven't shot any missiles. Meanwhile, missiles being fired instantly. And then he just now posted crypto fear and greed index neutral. Yep, you're no longer in extreme fear. Financial Juice also saying 69,100 on fear and greed index. I have my own fear and greed index I like to look at, and it's over here. Let's go see if it's the same. Yep, 50 on crypto. Stock market's at 70. Yeah, there just isn't that epic sell side pressure out there, guys. Everybody wants to keep acting like it's still here. It hasn't been here for a long time. Sellers are paying a massive premium on a long-term basis to hold Bitcoin shorts right now. And Bitcoin shorts have not been making any money all the way back to February's open. If you got short any time on Bitcoin since February, you're most likely stopped out of that trade. So, I mean, think about that. All of the shorts since February have been stopped out. That's not bearish. It's the opposite of bearish. The only people still holding shorts now are the people that shorted in January, or people putting on shorts today. And that next liquidity pinch point's way up there. Now you're going to have weekly swing highs that haven't been... Oh, never mind. I guess not. So the next big liquidation point or pinch point would be $90,000. As that's just a weekly swing high. That's not a monthly swing high. You've liquidated everything all the way out to January's high. January's high is all the way up there at 97K. I see no reason why this could not continue to grind higher. None at all. Other than, minus a few days of pullbacks. But to be all out bearish, no. I don't see it. Don't see it. 8-hour chart still looks fantastic. 4-hour chart doesn't look great. However, I guess it could make fresh lows. I wouldn't want to see it close like that. There's still an hour and 36 minutes left on this close. So it's still quite a bit of time here. This is where the bears are. Any shorts from today's high of day, this is their first or primary take profit. And they almost got it. There's black space in there, so they didn't get it. They almost got it. So that 4-hour low sits at 89.34. This low comes in at 89.43. 934, 943. So they haven't been able to make a lower low yet. They probably got an hourly lower low. So you're going to see people putting on shorts right there about hourly supply. I wouldn't, but 35 minutes left on this hourly candle. I definitely would not want to see a fresh high, an hourly higher high. If you get that, then the short probably is not going to work out for you. Where is that? 10 a.m. So anything since right here. You'd want to see the sellers be able to defend 81,439 if you're looking for short side scalps today. You don't want to see that higher high. You might have the dollar bouncing off of those lows, but like I said, it still isn't, it ain't making any highs, any fresh highs to be worried about yet. And hell, it's back on the lows now, so yeah, I would expect that to continue. You got to break up above a 98.55 before you're threatening a higher move on the dollar. There really isn't anything for buyers to be targeting up there. But there really isn't anything for sellers to target either. It's 97.98's the next daily swing low. 98.36. And then the next big zone of support is going to be 98.23, the yearly opening range. But I'm not a buyer. I don't have a buying bias on it. I do like it lower. Yeah, all major moving averages look like a trending move could come. But the dollar's very choppy. It has been for a whole year. This thing has been in this range for a year. I hate this range. I wish it would go down or up. We haven't really seen a good trending move on the dollar in a long time. So it's making Forex trades a little bit difficult. Scalp trades have been working just fine. It's the longer term swing trades. Those have been difficult to get positioned for because it's so choppy. There's always scalps that can be made in Forex, but yeah, I have a downside bias on the dollar here. Silver is right back up. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the stuff you don't want to see. It's been an hour since I said I would like to see silver roll over. It hasn't gone anywhere. This is probably going to make a fresh day high. Looks like the value area high is acting as resistance. It's just a very small range, choppy day on silver. The short could still play out. I don't love it. What's oil doing? It started to spike, but it could only make one 30-minute higher high. That's not really nothing. The sellers are still more aggressive on oil today, but they're not super aggressive yet. It is trending, to be fair. The buyers have been the aggressors. Going back all the way into here, you can see like there was one day where the sellers were hyper aggressive and it just made a lower low, and that was the end of it. Like no continuation. The buyers are firmly in control of this. You're going to need to see lower lows, and then that's when we would be looking for the shorts again on a lower high somewhere. So I would love to see oil break down and make a trending move. Oh, I got an end task on that. Not working. If we could take this level out here on oil, then maybe we could look for that lower high. Something like that, but I mean, we're a long ways from that. As of right now, it is still super bullish. The bulls are definitely still controlling this. And you probably won't see oil top out until an actual deal is made. Baby, could you grab me a bottle of water, please? Thank you. Probably going to need an actual deal. And some boats to be like going through the Hormuz Strait. Confirmation with no incident. Then I think you'd see oil rebalance lower. But it would be an aggressive rebalancing. I don't know if it would be a trade that could that you could catch. I think there'll be so much volatility when that happens. You would probably get like a washout move to the upside first on that news, like a big washout move, and then a massive dump. So yesterday it kind of looked like that was playing out, that washout and then lower move. That's kind of why I was forced I was forced to put a short back on, but it fell short of liquidating last week's high and then pulled back, and I was like, that's not a washout. Not a washout at all. Washout, you're going to liquidate those highs. But big sellers here and here today, and today you actually have them. It's not a lot of aggressive sellers like this, but at least they are more aggressive. Thank you, baby. All right. Very sideways, low garbage price action on oil right now. Late to the party, BTC. All my signals say short, says Cabby8153. Can you explain the short squeeze? A short squeeze is essentially just when prices are moving up and stopping out shorts aggressively. So like if you have a high short interest market, you get a big spike. Once those larger participants, like hedge funds and things like that, once they start closing positions, that brings in more demand and it just continues to squeeze. Like what we're seeing on Bitcoin is still a form of a short squeeze. I mean, it is still squeezing shorts. They are still getting liquidated left and right. It's just not causing that face ripping, like aggressive, volatile upside spike. So it doesn't feel like a short squeeze, right? It doesn't feel like a short squeeze. It feels like Bitcoin is still super weak and pathetic and all of that. There's still so much headline risk out there that I'm surprised Bitcoin rallied yesterday. I really am. Because oil rallied aggressively yesterday. Right now, most of your longer term investors or portfolios that drive huge order flows, they've got their eyes on oil. They've got their eyes on the news. Every headline sparks volatility because everybody's watching the dollar and everybody's watching oil. Or like I would argue that the S&P 500 did a short squeeze right through here, this massive gap up. That was a short squeeze. That happened literally while the market was closed. But that's where the majority of people were short. Even I signaled that a short could be taken, but only as long as you were below a prior day high. Because the 21 exponential was right in here. I mean, it was a beautiful setup for a short. You know what I mean? If you liquidate these swing highs or close above the 21, wait the next day for a potential move, then short it. And that trade did work out early. It's just there was no downside continuation. And then once the bulls showed up, it was sayonara to the bears. That's a short squeeze. Boom, 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 boom. Yep. That's what it looks like. And that's what we haven't really gotten on Bitcoin yet. In terms of short signals, I don't know what you're looking at, but higher time frames are still bearish. Weekly, you're still under the 200 EMA on the daily. So, I mean, those are kind of decent reasons to look for shorts. But that's about it. I don't know of any others that are suggesting that Bitcoin's a short. But yeah, you can see here, that was just a ginormous rally. Let's see if we can see when it happened right here. Yeah, boom, boom. Huge short squeeze. Literally happened at 4 o'clock, so right when the market closed. So I'm wondering if there was a headline or something. Yeah. And since that, they've just been squeezed out. Since that. So that's kind of what we haven't seen on Bitcoin yet. We haven't seen that aggressive, huge rally. It's just been a slow grind. I mean, maybe right here. You've seen a couple nice rallies. There was another nice one. There was a nice one. This was a nice one, but it was immediately faded. Then it came right back. So, I mean, it definitely doesn't look like the shorts are in control of this market to me. Looks like their backs are against the wall, as they're the ones that keep losing. I mean, my portfolio says it all. Right? It's not a lot of money, but there's no reason for me to close it. My stop loss was just up here because I wanted to make sure that no matter what, I made money on that trade for last week. But we're in a new week, so literally bought the day low on Wednesday, and it's been straight up ever since. At some point, when do you stop being a bear? I would argue that the Bears should have won here. It's because they didn't that my bias shifted. They had everything they needed right here. If they had a trend line break, they had everything. They had everything. They had a trend line break. They had a war starting. They had extreme fear in the markets. They had private credit breaking down. They had so much. So much. I would argue this is when the Bears lost control of the market, and the Bears just, for whatever reason, haven't. Which there's always going to be sell side people out there, because there are people that only do sell side trades, and some of them may still be bearish Bitcoin. Some of them may be still holding shorts on Bitcoin for sure. But I'm just talking about like on the near term, using narrative and everything. This hasn't been bearish for a long time. At some point you gotta, so like when the market trend shifts, I can see, like, back over in here, I would have agreed with you. Yeah, you definitely want to be looking for shorts in and around weekly swing highs, as that is the trend right now. But that trend has shifted, is what I've been trying to say. That trend has shifted. The sellers were winning. They're not anymore. So I guess for me to be bearish again, I would need to at least see that happen again at some point. Start to see weekly highs hold and you get downside continuation. Now, obviously, I'm not going to shift my bias. I'm not going to shift my bias after it makes, 3 fresh weekly lows. I would probably get in there before that. We at a bare minimum, if we could start making some fresh daily lows, that would be nice. The last time you've done that was right here. This was the last day that you made a fresh day low. Every day since Wednesday has been a higher low, even here. That's a higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So if we start getting at least a couple fresh daily lows, then maybe I could have you guys looking for shorts. I just can't do that right now. It's not a bear market. You know what I mean? I got to keep my community on the right side of the market. I just do. That's what I do these live streams for. I try to keep them on the right side of the market. I do pretty good at that. As long as they take my advice and listen to what I'm saying, they do pretty good. But unfortunately, there are so many other people out there that still have such a huge bearish bias. Those are the people that are keeping other people from getting long. If you have 1 million subscribers and 1 million followers, and you keep telling your community that new lows are coming in 2026, then you're going to have tens of thousands of people waiting for a fresh 2026 low before they buy, because they believe that you know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, in the markets, nobody knows what's going to happen. So they can have all the data they want to look at. They still don't know what's going to happen in the future, just like me. But at the same time, I think you owe it to your community or your audience to at least let them know that. Because if you want to participate in rallies on any investment, at some point you have to be a buyer. And if you're waiting for new lows to do that, and still are, what if I told you you're late? What if I told you you might not get that chance? Then what? Are you going to wait all year long? Are you going to wait till 175K, 200, 225? At what point do you start to put that risk back on? And then at that point, you see how the cycle continues, right? The retail constantly buying highs and selling lows. Constantly. It's like a never-ending saga. And the majority of people that are still bearish, at least on the people that I follow and whatnot, many macro analysts are still bearish. Many price action analysts are still bearish, and definitely pattern traders and analysts that are looking for, whatever, head and shoulders, rising wedges, falling wedges, things like that. They are still bearish. Everybody is still bearish. So therefore, retail, the majority of retail is still bearish. I think retail is extremely lucky in this scenario because Bitcoin hasn't repriced like the S&P 500. I was honestly assuming that was about to happen to Bitcoin next. Like, Once I saw that aggressive repricing in the S&P 500, I was like, yeah, this thing's getting ready to go. But it didn't. And that's another reason why some people are still bearish. It's like, I get it, man. I do. But I started buying at 67K. And if we get back down there, I'll buy again. It's that simple. I want to accumulate in weakness and in fear. That's when I want to buy. That's generally the way investing works. You buy low and sell high, not wait for lower low and then buy, right? Buy low, sell high. Not buy the lower low or the next bear market leg or any of that stuff. What if there isn't a next bear market leg? Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the way it works. Not everybody's going to catch it. I did a pretty good job. I have several DMs of people telling me, thank you for letting me know to get in, which I'm not telling you guys to do anything, first and foremost. I don't manage money. I manage my own, and that's it. So I'm not telling anybody to buy. I'm just simply stating, if you want to be involved in Bitcoin at some point in the future, the best time to buy, obviously, is an oversold weekly market. That's all. That's all. That's when you buy. When it's oversold, you buy it. Because at that point, you do have fear. You have all the things that you need to essentially make a low. I don't know that the low is in. Nobody does. And I don't know if the high is in. Nobody does. But I would argue that with probabilities in the way they work, that Bitcoin will make higher highs. We have an individual out there who is essentially selling stock and then buying Bitcoin. He is completing a supply shock. He is literally absorbing all of the supply, as much of it as he can. It's a competition now between him and BlackRock. And then eventually there'll probably be another person that thinks, you know what, I think Michael Saylor's onto something. I want to start accumulating Bitcoin supply as well. And then before you know it, you'll wake up one day and Bitcoin will just be mooning. And then it'll be too late. That's when retail FOMO will kick back in. And at that point, that's when people like me will be taking profits. And then repeat. Yeah. Most of you guys will do better if you ignore 4-year cycles on Bitcoin and start just focusing on momentum cycles. If you could just ignore like all the hoopla and all that stuff out there, if all you were to focus on for the rest of your investing career was momentum cycles, you would be a phenomenal investor. You won't win every investment by looking at momentum cycles. Obviously, some are still going to lose, but the ones that you do win will cover the ones that you lose, as long as your risk management is solid. The cycle keeps repeating, and it will keep repeating. Money has to go somewhere. It has to flow into something. And as of right now, the U.S. Treasury is still the best thing out there for big money. Like the people that control 1% of the wealth, they're still buying treasuries. And they still will until the next best thing shows up. And there's just nothing out there that is better right now. I think Bitcoin is better, but time will tell if that's right or not. It still looks fine on a daily basis, on an intraday basis even. And silver is still chopping, so that's pretty much toast. Oil is still chopping on the lows or around the lows. US oil actually put in a trending move here. So as long as this 4-hour high remains defended, I would be fine looking for some lower lows at some point on US oil. The major low obviously is going to be that daily swing low. It looks okay. Today's an inside day. Yesterday was a trending day. It wasn't an outside day. Reversal. But daily support is holding right now. That's where most of the oil buyers are at. That's what they're watching. If I had to guess, that's probably what they're looking at, right? You start closing some higher time frame levels under that, we may see a trending move start. But until that happens, you're sideways, you're an inside day. You're an inside day. It's very choppy out there, guys. All right, let me read some of these comments and then we'll wrap this up. MicroStrategy cost basis will set the Bitcoin floor. Hopefully on the long term it does. That would be nice because we can track that. Thoughts on hype, says Jewelry Affairs. I haven't looked at hype in a long time. It looks fine. It looks like you put in a bear trap right there and the bulls have been on it ever since. You're in a longer term range on it. You're in a multi-month range here. You're trading inside last month's range. These are very insignificant highs. So you're not really seeing that breakout yet. But, I mean, it looks like it could be coming. It could be coming. As long as it's trading in the range, the sellers are going to keep trying their luck with it. But you can clearly see the trend isn't working for the sellers. Would I buy hype right now? No. No, I would not. Nope. I would not. I would argue that the last time I would have wanted to be a buyer on hype would have been right here. And that would have been a difficult buy. Because most likely I would have got long right here. You see what I'm saying? Most likely on this day, I would have bought right there. And then that day would have stopped me out. This day right here is the thing that I can never accurately predict in the future. I can always pick this right here. I can always find that. It's this one right here. That's the one that usually gets me on the swing trades. So yeah, that probably would have been not so good. And that happened the day after I got long on Bitcoin too. So yeah, this was just another liquidation run before it took off to the upside. So I would be waiting for something similar to take place again over in here before I'd be a buyer on hype. Hype long term, as long as they continue to do what they're doing and nothing bad happens to them, they have the propensity to be a lot more expensive. I think Invest Answers did last year in 2025. Invest Answers did like a whole hour-long live stream podcast or whatever you want to call it on reasons why he had a bullish bias on hype, and he broke down some macro things that back then looked really good. And he said back then, if they continued to do what they have been doing, they could be worth $60. Like, that would be at par for about what they're worth. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt, because that was in 2025. Clearly, a lot of bad things happened as this thing went all the way down to almost $20. So, I mean, what they do is they take the trading fee profits and they rebuy their token. It's similar to a stock buyback, like what Apple and all major stocks do nowadays. Should be illegal, used to be illegal. It isn't. It's a buyback program. It puts it just puts a supporting bid into the marketplace, because they're constantly buying back the supply. So long term, I think they do pretty good. It's just, is there a setup today? No. There's not a short. There is not a long. There is no trade here. It's don't do anything if you own it. All right? Don't do anything if you own it. I guess you're fine. You might want to think about taking profits up at about $45, because that is going to be overhead resistance until you get a clear breakout with a trend continuation rally above it. If you get just above it and fail, then maybe. But that would probably happen for like 3 days. You know what I mean? You're probably going to see something like this. Get above it and fail. And then the shorts jump on it. And then it comes down, makes a low, and then takes those shorts out. And then does the same thing. And then another day does that. And then eventually it rips. It's not going to be an easy trade. But yeah, if it can, if you get another pullback on a weekly basis, maybe we can, look around week lows or something. But I wouldn't be a heavy seller here. You're trending right now on a week to week basis. You're above last week's high and it's trending. So I don't want to try to get in front of that. That's bullish momentum. Bullish momentum is never a good thing to short. You want to short when you have bearish momentum. Okay? All right. The U.S. needs the Clarity Act to pass. And right now, poly markets, I think it's poly markets, have it set at 55% to pass. That it will pass. Poly markets. We saw a couple U.S. Congress people buy Bitcoin. They probably think it's going to pass too. But I agree with you. That would definitely be a very bullish sign. That will be how they print money this time. Okay, well, the Fed is also probably going to print too. If the bond market breaks down, the Fed will print. Fed needs the banks, and the Clarity Act will allow new money to be printed, not fiat. New story. Yeah, I feel the same way. I see nothing wrong with that statement at all. Yep. I think that's what spurred on this move right here. I think this rally was the market rallying based on a potential Fed interest rate cut and print. The Fed balance sheet is still going up. It is not going down anymore. They stopped rebalancing. In a sense, it's going back up. They went back, I think, 200 bill, almost 300 billion at this point. So I think they will always have to for the rest of this monetary whatever, right? And unless they come up with some kind of new monetary system, and that's not going to happen anytime soon, guys. It's going to take a long time, and it's going to happen slowly, and then in the future, they will take steps for austerity, all that. It's way out. 2032, 2035, maybe. They'll come out with a new austerity program. Well, at that point, it will be too late. Monetary policy will have already shifted. And it will have been happening over the last decade and a half. But yeah, I agree with the whole Clarity Act thing and Fed print. Negative deltas on Bitcoin, I'm scared. Remember, guys, negative deltas does not mean anything. It's just an indicator. I've seen negative deltas and the asset goes up. I've seen positive deltas and the asset go down. I use that indicator just to show me who is the aggressor. That's it. That's the number one reason why I'm looking at it. Who is more aggressive? That's it. Once I find that, then I look at other things. Is the asset weak this week? Or is it strong this week? That's the second thing I look at. Then, obviously, once I have that answer, then I can start to look for positioning. Okay, well, if the asset is strong this week, would I want to be a buyer today? If so, where? And then, are the buyers more aggressive today? Like, it's not so important that if it's going down, you should be worried. Now, if you bought today's high, yeah, probably. You're probably in a bad position. And then, yeah, it could ultimately roll over. But I mean, if you're long from the week open, do you need to be worried? Not so much. Not so much. It's not that big of an indicator. It's like, it might be, like, I don't even usually, like today, for instance, if you look at how what I did in the futures room this morning, how I posted that trade right here. Let's go back to when I first said something. This is yesterday. Okay, right here. No, this is this morning, 8:16 a.m. Since oil doesn't want to roll over, maybe silver does. You can see how silver kind of has that trending move. 73.95 or 74.69, both decent places for a downside reversal to happen. Notice the chart. What am I looking at in terms of indicators? Nothing. Okay. First and foremost, I wanted to see which way is silver going. That's first and foremost. Is silver printing fresh weekly highs, or is silver printing fresh weekly lows? That's first and foremost. That is the most important. Silver is making fresh weekly lows. Okay. Then I pulled up the indicator. Use tight stops if you try to short it. And this is because of dollar, right? The dollar rolls over. If the dollar's weak, silver might keep going up. So yeah, don't put that much weight on deltas. It's just an indicator. You generally want to be on the side of the trend if you're looking for trade setups. Ask yourself that question first. What is the asset doing? Is it making fresh weekly highs or fresh weekly lows? If it's not doing either of those things, if it's already made a weekly high and it's already made a weekly low and it's trading in the middle of the weekly range, is it above or below the open? Right? If it's right at the open, then you don't want to trade the asset. It's anybody's game. It's literally in the middle, and anybody can win it. Only then, like if you have very weak deltas, then maybe you can look for a short. Or, you know what I mean? It's just an indicator, just to kind of help gauge directional bias. And it doesn't always work. Even then, it still doesn't always work. No strategy is that good. None of them. Our strategy is pretty damn good though. But it doesn't always work. So this morning, silver wasn't giving us a sell signal. But what is silver doing on the week? right? This week. I don't give a shit about last week. What is it doing this week? Well, it's lower than the open and it's making fresh weekly lows. Bearish bias. What's today? Tuesday. What did it do yesterday? Okay, boom. That's your weekly range. So as long as there is more selling pressure than buying pressure, we can look for a short. And we could potentially look for fresh weekly lows. That's what we're using the indicators for, to give us directional bias. It's still a potential short as it's only mid-testing yesterday's range. If it breaks out above the midpoint, then you can't sell it anymore till it gets up to the weekly open, which would be here. Because if it's trading above the midpoint of yesterday's range, right? If it's trading above the midpoint of yesterday's range, then the probabilities would be higher that it's going to the weekly open. As a trader, we're trying to, that's it. Like we know the market's going to do this. We know it's either going to go up, stay sideways, or go down. We know for a fact one of those three things are going to happen. We know that for a fact. So then we use other indicators to kind of push us in the right direction. And since the trend is your friend, you want to be pushed in that direction. That's why I'm constantly trying to help you guys get. Because once that stuff starts to truly sink in and you start, taking trades in the direction of the trend, your hit rate, your win rate gets better over time. And then once you have the whole risk management down pat to where you're like a phenomenal money manager, boom, 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 you're going to start seeing your portfolio grow. You'll be like a new person. But don't put that much weight on one indicator. It's not one indicator that makes me have a good hit rate. It's all of the things that I'm doing in combination of one another. That's if you're going to be a scalper, right? If you're trying to scalp intraday ranges. It's the hardest thing to do on planet Earth in the game of trading. Because intraday chaos is so volatile, it's damn near impossible. But so far for this week, silver's going lower, right? This was your weekly low until that low came in. Then that was your weekly low until that low came in. Then that was your weekly low, and the trend is lower. Or at least it was yesterday. Today, the trend is higher. But if silver is going to be weak for the rest of the week, we would anticipate the sellers showing up. And they still might. But because it isn't already heading lower for us, we think it'll be tomorrow. It'll be choppy all day as it's dictating direction right now. It's in price discovery right now. You've got buyers buying here saying, no, I think it's going higher. You've got sellers selling here saying, nope, I think it's going to go lower. So those people have to get beat up. Once those people get beat up, we'll have more data. But if it's above here, it's probably coming back to here. We can wait till it gets up here to make that decision. Tomorrow, if we wake up tomorrow morning, like when I come to the office in the morning tomorrow, if this thing ends up making a new low today, we'll be bearish again on silver. We'll be looking to short the day high tomorrow. Because we want to be with the trend. Do I trade patterns? No. No, I do not. I trade order flow and market direction, or what I think the direction is. I don't look for bull flags and bear flags, and I don't look for ascending wedges and rising wedges. Now, I will point them out whenever I'm doing a live stream just because I need to talk about something. But I do not take trades based on patterns. I do not, yeah. So no, nope, I do not trade patterns. I'm trying to be on the side of order flow, on the side of momentum. Who has price? Which way is it going? And do they have momentum? If the answer is yes, then I want to be on that with them. Do you think Bitcoin is on the 4-year cycle anymore? I do not. I think once the ETFs started buying, Bitcoin's 4-year cycles broke. And the only reason is because you're like, so it's a very complicated question. It obviously looks like it's still holding and still working. But I mean, do I think that you can look at past cycles and pick highs and lows in the market? The answer is no. Nope. So everybody that is still waiting on the 4-year cycle or still looking at the 4-year cycle is waiting for that next bear leg lower. That's what everybody's waiting for on the 4-year cycle. Because if you look at the 4-year cycle, then Bitcoin isn't going to be bottoming out until October, November, December, right? Hypothetically speaking, if it's going to continue to move the way it has moved on prior 4-year cycles. No, I don't. I don't believe that. So I heard one guy put it like the way Plan C, a guy I follow on Twitter, and another guy are putting it as in the 4-year market cycle didn't even play out this time. It was a 50% collapse, right, on Bitcoin. And in prior cycles, Bitcoin collapsed 55 or 60% before then having a rally, then going on to make fresh bear market lows. And because Bitcoin didn't drop over 50% yet, the 4-year cycle is broken. I think it's just a narrative. And you'd just be better off if you focused on momentum, not 4-year cycles. Because even if you to get long at the very bottom, like to be a buyer in October of 2026, when Bitcoin is at whatever, insert random number here, to follow 4-year market cycle theory, means you're not even thinking about buying yet. And you're probably a bear. And that's what my question was earlier. At what point do you become a bull again? Can you not be a buyer until October or December? October, November, December? As that's when the 4-year cycle is supposed to bottom out? What are you going to do if Bitcoin's trading at 275,000? In October, November, or December is the question. Like, what do you do then? Or do you say the 4-year cycle model is broken then? Just to make it easier on yourself moving forward in new cycles that are going to come later on down the road, right? Not 4-year cycles. Follow momentum. If the asset trends for long-term investments, right? If the asset trends, what has the 10-year trend been? Is it up? Has it been sideways, or is it down? 10 years, a decade. If it's up, then on the weekly time frame, whenever the RSI gets oversold, that's when you're a buyer. If the asset is sideways, you can see how you could still be a buyer on an oversold weekly RSI, but the asset is not trending. So there's a good chance that that investment doesn't do anything for you in the future. And then obviously if the asset is trending down for the last 10 years, there really is no buying opportunity on that asset, as 10 years of data say that chances are, or the probabilities are, it goes lower. You just do so much better. You wouldn't be worried about, is the asset going up? Is it going down? I mean, it's just so simplistic. And simplistic investing strategies do very good. Especially with current monetary debasement and all of that. I mean, pick the winners and buy those. Has been the strategy for the longest time, and it is still going to be the strategy in the future. Do that. You'll be much better off. Thoughts on Home Depot? Let's go look at it. My thoughts on it are, it hasn't done a lot in the last 5 years. It was doing good in COVID, after COVID, but since then, it hasn't really done anything. It looks okay. It's a long-term consolidation. On the very near term, like for 2026, it looks bad. It doesn't look good. I know they make money. They're a major box store. I don't know how much money they make, but it's not really a growth asset. It hasn't experienced any growth since 2022, at least. This would be one that would be on the rebalancing block or close to being rebalanced, because it hasn't done anything in a long time. Now, with that being said, it could. It's just right now it is trending down. It is very much trending down. I don't think it's a buy yet. These are going to be useless to look at. Yeah, it's not a buy yet. I would wait for this to have like some kind of massive blow off spike. Like, wait for it to break down, and as long as it's trending like this, it's going to be a difficult buy. They got earnings coming up, so I wouldn't do it with options. So if I was gonna buy this, I would want to buy it once it hits oversold, and not the week that it is hitting oversold, the next week or the week after even. Then pick up a few shares, as that could end up being a long-term swing. Hold it for a couple months. If it doesn't start to perform good, cut that bitch loose. Cut it loose. It looks fine. They're everywhere in America. Every town has at least one, right? They're huge. Now, you could do more in-depth research on them, find out, are they in debt, and how much debt do they have, and all that stuff. But is it a growth asset? No. The answer is no. How much more growth? I think Home Depot is a good investment. I'm not saying it's a bad investment, because people are always going. Anybody that owns a house has been to freaking Home Depot or Lowe's. It's either Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace, right? Those are your the big three: Home Depot, Lowe's, or Ace. If you own a house, that's where you're going. If you live in a house, you're going there to buy shit. Like, most of your mom and pop shops are gone. There's a few little mom and pop hardware stores out there, but not many. And nobody's going to those because they are more expensive. They have to be. So they probably aren't going anywhere. I'd say, if anything, the concern would be all three of them get gobbled up by one big firm. But yeah, I think we could buy it. It's just not yet. It could go down much lower. It needs to get down in there before I'd be interested in it. All right, and Bitcoin is a grower, not a shower. I agree. 34 of us watching with 14 likes. Come on, smash the like button for the very best in this space. Thank you so much for saying that, Vic. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank Boss for continuously giving out such knowledge every other day. You are more than welcome, my friend. You are more than welcome. Thank you for that awesome comment. And they had Jane Street. I'm not sure what. Oh, okay. Yeah. Once Jane Street got busted, we've never touched 60K again. Oh, you're talking about the Bears. And they had Jane Street. Right. Yeah. Even then, they had everything. It's impossible for any one of us analysts on YouTube to predict what Bitcoin will do, guys. Nobody can see into the future. But the trend for what Bitcoin has been doing its entire life, since it became a worldwide asset that is traded 24/7, it has been growing. It has been trending higher and higher and higher. More and more people are buying it. More and more people are getting involved. You now have banks, countries, investment funds, all Wall Street is now getting involved. It will most likely make fresh all-time highs. Just with what I just said. Just the info I just gave you puts the probabilities that Bitcoin does go higher in the future. Now, there are risks associated with buying Bitcoin. Your government could ban it. Quantum computing might actually work, and it might actually come true. Though that is the biggest risk to Bitcoin right now, quantum computing. Then you have the BIPs, the 110, you have BIP 110, where you're going to see a minor soft fork. Because of data storage, people putting posters on the chain. You've got a group of people out there, I'm one of them, who think Bitcoin's data should be financial transaction only. Okay, so now you're going to see that fork. That is another risk. Remember, that soft fork is coming in September also. This could also be, you've got quantum computing, you've got the BIP 110, you've got the U.S.-Iran war, you got private investing getting absolutely bonked. You got AI, software as a service getting crushed. There are a lot of reasons that Bitcoin is not literally ripping to the upside right now. But over time, these things will probably prove to be nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like, most likely the BIP 110 will go off without a hitch. In fact, you won't even realize that it had already happened, right? Hopefully that's the way it works. Hopefully nobody even hears about it. It goes through, everything is fine. Bitcoin does nothing, becomes a nothing event. That would be good. I think that would be positive for longer term growth potential, as now that's in the past. But I mean, as long as it's in the future, it is still a risk. It's a headline and headwind risk. Not so much a headline risk, but definitely a headwind risk. To assume we aren't going back to 50K is a big assumption, says Prediculous. To assume we're not going back to 50K is a big assumption. I could argue that exact statement to you, my friend, if you're still here. I don't know if you are, as many people have left. To assume you are going back to 50K is also a big assumption, because of all the things I've already discussed in this video. And then Lunar Entity said to assume we have to go back to 50K is also a big assumption. There you go. So I wasn't the only one that spotted out that slight hypocrisy. Bitcoin is good since Jane Street thing. Interesting, right? It is a little interesting. Lunar Entity also said the 12-month chart for oil looks pretty insane. Yeah, you saw that yearly candle, huh? Yep. It's a stinker. Now with this spot, this particular asset here, let me just pull up futures. Let's just shoot this right in the foot right now, once and for all. We'll just pull up all the data on oil. Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big boy. It's a pretty insane spike. Yep. This one, I would argue, is a nasty one, too. Been a lot of volatility on Bitcoin in the last 6 years. I mean, on oil in the last 6 years. Yeah, a lot of people made their careers on just trading oil. Sometimes oil is a good asset and it has plenty of volatility and it has big moves, and then other times it doesn't. Oil can be very boring at times to trade. In fact, I would argue that right through here, oil was extremely boring. Now, we did get bullish on oil here because in January, oil made the big pop. So February, we were looking to buy oil. And we had a bullish bias on it all the way down to February's low. January's low. We would have been a buyer at 57.38. And the last place would have been a buyer is at 55.84. Simple as that. I just did not catch the breakout. Yeah, it's a pretty insane stuff. Right here, probably the big support. We can go in tighter. I mean, it's a monthly open. It's a huge level. You got people buying it. People that think that you're going to go higher in the future. April is open. Not a bad place to get involved. Yeah, and only time will tell if they're right or not. Right now, the trend on oil is up. This week, it is very bullish. So being a seller on oil is not advised, or would not be advised. It does not look like the sellers are winning. You will not be able to say that the sellers are winning. Not really. I mean, at best, this is a pullback. This is why you're not seeing a big move on oil. Buyers see this. They know this. So they're probably getting involved. There are millions of different trading strategies out there and reasons why people get long and get short and whatnot. But like for all of the major reasons, I would be arguably more of a buyer here. It's because I'm an optimist and because I know more than likely there will be a deal. More than likely the strait will be open and things will go back to normal. The problem is that could take months. It's not a good enough reason to be a seller. If you're trading the chart of oil, if you're being a technical analyst and trading like a robot, you're a buyer on oil right now. You're not a seller. You are a buyer. You are looking for the dip and you are buying said dip. This is very bullish. Very bullish. It could be running out of momentum, but still not a great reason to be an oil seller. If you're only looking at trends, I would argue that you could be a buyer on oil as low as 94.82. This week could just simply be an inside pullback week. It isn't until you break down below this that you can start saying, okay, this is interesting, because then you'll have a lower high and now a new lower low. That will be very interesting to see what happens after that. But as of right now, the people that are trying to short oil, we are probably super early. Bitcoin good since read that. Truly, Heath is the best. Thank you, Jewelry Affairs. He is not a YouTuber, and he is something else. Thank you. I appreciate that. Huge. Love it. No, I am not a YouTuber. I am a trader. That is what I am. Tony the Fishing the Easy. What's up? In late. Damn, bro. I don't know what time you came in, though. You could have came in at 9:42, and I just didn't see. The 2020 scam wick below blew me out of the water. Will never trade oil futures again, just on principle. So I trade oil futures. I don't mind trading oil futures. I actually didn't know what to do when that was happening, my friend. As up until that point in 2020, I had been trading for a long time already, but never did I see the front month oil contract be zero and below zero. This had something to do with ETFs, the USO ETF, and the way they rebalance their portfolio. That is what caused the problem. It was just this perfect supply shock where it wasn't a supply shock, it was a demand shock, right? Nobody was using oil. So you had just all of this oil demand that caused this cascading of price. And then you put that on top of the way that USO rebalance their ETF, the way they do it. Like, that's what caused that massive black swan event. If you could have been a buyer on oil futures when oil was trading at negative, you would have put on one of the best trades of all time. Now, with that being said, I don't know any exchange or brokerage that allowed such a trade to go through. I have never met anybody, and I know a couple oil traders. I don't know anybody that was lucky enough to get a position filled on a negative oil contract. Now, with that being said, had you been able to do so, that was the best trade of the year. That was the best trade of the year, because every penny over a cent, every penny was a 100% move. Like, you're talking about insanity. Your portfolio would have been an exponential curve had you nailed a below zero long. Your portfolio would look like this. Because of how numbers work. So, yeah. Yep. It was the best trade of the year. It was far better than Bitcoin. I was shocked. I was 100% flabbergasted. I thought the world was falling apart. So did a lot of other people. But I think they shut down the exchanges and got the portfolio rebalanced, if you will. I don't know what went down, but I'm sure if you did you could probably find an article or something on it. I'd say it was a very curious time. But once it bounced, it bounced. And like I said, TradingView don't even put that data on the chart anymore. They just say, screw it. Just get rid of that. Yeah, they don't even have it. So, yeah, I mean, oil is usually a pretty slow mover. It's moving right now pretty decent because everybody's got eyes on it. Eyes are on it. All right, so what's Bitcoin doing? Still up at the day high. Looks pretty damn good here. Definitely doesn't look weak. Silver still chopping. Like I said, maybe I was just a day early on silver. Silver still might be a decent trade tomorrow. We'll see where it is, because where it is will dictate my directional bias on it. Obviously, I just need more data. It looks like the sellers are actually starting to win the battle, but price is so close and the buyers are still so aggressive that it could rip. It could ultimately end up ripping. Oh, I would feel much better about putting a short on silver if the sellers were the aggressor, as the point of control is pretty much right on the level that I would be using to mitigate my risk from. You see what I'm saying? Because that is the midpoint of yesterday, or close enough to it. We can get the exact midpoint. Right there's the midpoint. So, yeah, you have to fib it down because yesterday was a down day. So, yeah, I mean, a spike up into here, if the sellers showed up there at 75.12, that could be another interesting place to look for a short. If you do get that bullish spike, which, judging by the bullish aggression, it looks like you probably will. The dollar needs to roll over. If the dollar were to, which it has, but it's not really like trending very hard, right? It's still trading so much inside of yesterday's range. It's just a very small range day compared to yesterday. It's like a nothing move. But if you did get like a breakdown on dollar and you got down there around Monday's open and beyond, I think silver would rally every bit up to this at a bare minimum. Once you get above the weekly open, the everything is changed at that point. So I only like it as a sell if it can stay under 75.12 on the near term. So we'll keep our eyes on it, but it's definitely not a trade today. I tried it. It didn't work. I'm not going to keep trying it. Let's go see what NVIDIA did. NVIDIA did move lower, but I never got the alert. It never alerted me, which I'm kind of glad it didn't, since it didn't work. Now I can't delete the alert. It's so stupid. What is going on with that? Let me try to get rid of it this way. It didn't even, the alert never set. What is up? Whatever. Yeah, I don't like it so much under Feb's high, but it still could be a buying op. It's just, it could be looking for a much lower correction, I guess. Ooh, no, I disagree. If it doesn't push lower. Okay, so that's probably what it's looking for right there. I could be a buyer on NVIDIA at 194.74 if it fails going lower there. And that's literally... Okay, it's fine. It's yesterday's low. You are a long ways from yesterday's low. So like this, okay, so this is a beautiful example of when looking for a setup is difficult, because it has a lot further to go for that, for yesterday's liquidation. So like it could literally, if it keeps trading back up to this level here, it could chop people up. So it's not a clear buy yet, but I would have to say that if the sellers can't hold it and get this push lower, it probably is a buy. And they should be able to, I mean, it looks like they're doing a pretty okay job of defending. I tell you what we could do. There's 18 minutes left on this close. So we could just simply wait for this candle to close, and then we could watch that 4-hour low and use that as our place to mitigate risk for long side opportunities. It's definitely not a sell for me, because I mean, the sellers are going to need a breakdown. They're going to need a continuation move. Any sellers that are selling today, you're already trending here, so they should be able to, you see what I'm saying? Like, you've already liquidated everything yesterday, so why isn't it trending lower today? Why aren't you making fresh day lows today? Maybe it does, it just hasn't yet. I would argue that buyers are buying at 21 exponential. This might be a buy today. We'll wait and see what happens here in a minute. We need this candle to close. When this candle closes, if we can get a wick under this prior low and then it fails to go lower, like 15 you get a couple 15-minute candles that go by, 3, 4, 5 candles later, if it still isn't pushing on that low right there, it could be a buying op. That was the liquidation. That was the fresh day low there. I mean, it's not a fresh multi-day low. It's just the fresh today low. That was your low of day until just a little bit ago. And we'll keep NVIDIA on watch here for a little bit. There really isn't anything to do on Bitcoin. Long and strong on Bitcoin. That's what I said going into the weekend. I was long last week. I got long on the Fed day. I've been long ever since. When I dropped Saturday's video, I said Bitcoin looks more poised for an upside breakout up here than a downside breakdown. It did that. It's still doing that. I see no reason for that to change other than a full-on 200-day exponential retest. I think that could cause a pullback for sure. But it hasn't done that yet. 82,097. We can look at it that way. We know where it is. So we'll know if it gets up there, when it's up there, if it's testing it or not. Pingu looks like it wants to rip higher again. I've already closed my Pingu long. I was far under positioned on that. But it's what I had to do that day. When I took the long. I've been sitting in it for a long time, so I'm fine to be out of it too. It's literally a meme shit token, so. But it looks good. It looks really good. This could be a sell tomorrow, not today. Today there's too much bullish momentum, so everybody that's getting short today, anticipating Pingu to fail here, they're early. They're a day early. So if Pingu is going to reject this 200-day exponential, I would anticipate that it happens tomorrow, not today. So we will be watching Pingu tomorrow for that potential drop. And we'll probably short it if it does act like that's going to happen. It continues to look like this all freaking day and gets, above that 200-day. It's already above it enough to call this a legit breakout. That's the midpoint. Almost the midpoint. So it looks like a legit breakout. Looks like it's going to continue, but I don't have a short side bias on it. But if we were going to, I think it would be tomorrow. And I haven't been trading Fartcoin because there's just not much volume in it anymore. Let's go look at Ethereum real quick. Ethereum is still weaker than Bitcoin. Ethereum is still weaker than Bitcoin. I don't know what's happened to Ethereum, but Bitcoin appears to be eating its lunch. Like, Bitcoin's already broken out above February's high. Ethereum hasn't yet. It looks like it wants to. It looks like it's going to. But for whatever reason, it hasn't. Now, I would argue Ethereum is a better short than Bitcoin is. If you guys want to be bearish assets that are weak. Now, obviously, you're going to get squeezed out of this if it holds. But for whatever reason, the buyers just are not as demanding for Ethereum as they are Bitcoin right now. Probably because Ethereum doesn't have a Michael Saylor. Let's be clear. Tom Lee ain't no Michael Saylor. I mean, he's trying to be, but he's just not. He doesn't have the swab. He doesn't have the aura Saylor's got. What just happened here? Okay, any other questions? We're going to wrap this up. I think Bitcoin looks good. It could continue literally higher all day. It might find some resistance up there at 82 because of the 200-day exponential. I probably wouldn't be interested in a short until it did that. I'm going to keep my eyes on NVIDIA today to see if it holds here, as it's testing the daily 21 exponential right now. And typically in a bull market, that's where I want to be an operator at. And if NVIDIA can hold, I will probably be a buyer on NVIDIA. NVIDIA has already made fresh all-time highs, as it did that just a few days ago. So this pullback looks like a head and shoulders for you pattern traders out there. But I would argue it's not a very good one. It looks just like a head, no shoulder. Just the head. I don't see a shoulder. You guys are wanting it to break down here. But yeah, I think this could be this could potentially be a better opportunity tomorrow. As if you get that lower close today, that close below support, the shorts are going to think for sure that they're on the right side. They're going to be like, oh yeah, this is definitely going lower. And that's the day, if I was moving price, that's the day I would run it. I would take them out. And then, fresh all-time highs. But if it's a legit pullback, and Nvidia wants to retest the yearly opening range, there is an unfilled gap there as well. As you gapped up above the yearly opening range and did not retest it intraday. It was a straight gap and go. Boom. So that is truly an untested gap. But it's still a potential opportunity here. I will no longer be looking for Nvidia longs in this range if it's trending under 194.74, this price. Because at that point, you're trending. And it probably does want to come back down here and fill that gap. We'll revisit it then. But if it stays in this range today and closes in it, I'd be very much interested in buying this. I'll wait till the end of the day and make a decision on it. Yeah, Bitcoin looks fine. The dollar isn't a big move lower today, but if it continues to head lower, I think Bitcoin continues to rally. I think the dollar and oil are just sideways and choppy here today because there's no like further continuance on news. It's just as muddled as it was yesterday. All right. Thoughts on ICP? Internet Insane Clown Posse? Let's go look at Internet Computer. It's a disgusting chart. Long term, it's definitely not a long-term investment. At best, you could be experiencing a sell side exhaustion here. It looks fine for that. That's about it. Now, like I said, same thing is going to play out here as on WorldCoin. Just because you have a sell side exhaustion does not mean that you have buyers. It just means that your sellers are exhausted. That doesn't mean price doesn't have to go higher. But it looks like they are buying it today. Looks like you got a little bit of a trap, which you're not going to have a trap if you get that right where it's supposed to be. Yeah, it looks like the buyers showed up just shy of the trend line. And now they're getting a nice little rally here. So on the very near term, you're starting to see bullish. Ooh, never mind. I was going to say just on the near term, you're starting to see bullish momentum, but you're about 4 hours late to the party. At least 4 hours late to the party. I would argue that you're 8 hours late to the party. But you really didn't get a good long signal here. You would have literally had to just buy right at resistance to get involved in this. If it holds this low, then maybe you could get involved there. Other than that, it's you're buying highs. You're buying a breakout is what you're doing. You're trying to buy a breakout. Yeah, right now the sellers are showing up. So trying to buy like right here is you could get stopped out as there's still a little bit of bearish momentum here. And then again, like, does Bitcoin top out? Does Bitcoin start to sell off today? I'd be interested in looking at what it does here. If it can just barely wick below that or even stay above it, then maybe I could get involved. If it started to do something like that. For the momentum, for the upside momentum to continue. Let's go see if you've at least got buyer aggression. You do not. Yeah, the sellers are super aggressive here. I would argue that you're probably seeing a short squeeze. No, the buyers were the aggressor. Yeah, I don't know. Your squeeze could be over. I don't know. You could take a shot at it here. Just make sure you're using very tight, small stop losses. And I wouldn't try it more than a couple times. Because you will most likely, if it's, I can't say that you'll most likely get an opportunity either, because sometimes when these things start running, it's too late. It looks like it is primed and ready to go. It's just, do those sellers stay or not? That's going to be the whole thing in a nutshell. The 8 hour looks fine. It looks fine. Heavy selling today could be because of the spike. I would be more bullish on this than bearish. Let me go see what it's doing on the futures exchange real quick in terms of funding rate. It's paying the buyers. The funding rate is skewed to the longs. And because of that, I could put on some risk. I could try it. It would be awesome if there was some good news about to pop on this, as that could also help spawn bullish momentum. But yeah, 247, if it can hold that price moving forward, I might get it. I might be interested in buying it there. I think buying it here is too aggressive. I think that's a little too aggressive. But that's about all you got. Yeah, you could make the argument that if it holds here, it's going higher. It's just a very aggressive buy right here. I would rather see how price acts down here. All right. Be careful with it. Got some volatility. The XY is dropping, says Jory Affairs. It's going lower. I haven't seen a drop on it yet. Thanks, Heath, again. Greatly appreciate it. Should say it more often. Never take it for granted. Appreciate it. And then Tony the Fish says Tom Lee is a little impish weasel. he looks a little funny sometimes. Yeah, he's trying to get people to run into Ethereum, but for whatever reason, it isn't happening. Could be because of him that it isn't happening. Anybody that understands what he's doing right now realizes that he has turned like $12 billion into $4 billion. He needs retail buyers, or he's going to be up shit's creek without a paddle. Now, those retail buyers might show up if Bitcoin starts ripping faces off. XRP, where are you? But right now, he is, woof, he's in bad shape. XRP looks okay here. It's lacking bullish volume or bullish volatility. Like it's not doing great. It's barely moved. It is up on the week, so that's a good sign. But is it just going to trade to here and find resistance? You know what I mean? I wouldn't love the idea of selling it here, but I wouldn't mind selling it up here if I was going to be a seller. I feel kind of the same way about all cryptos right now. I think you are starting to see a little bit of sell side exhaustion. You know what I mean? I mean, it's pretty evident that the sellers have left a lot of these things behind. That does not mean that you're going to see them all pop, though. It just means the aggressive sellers have gone. They're just not here. It looks okay if it can close back above this. But I would be very concerned that what it's doing today is a bull trap. You know what I mean? There's just not much momentum here. Like, yesterday wasn't that big of a day, and today it's very sideways. It's more up this week, but you're not even testing serious levels of resistance yet. You're already starting to see some sellers show up right here. And that's been enough to basically stop this thing in its tracks. I don't like that at all. But it looks like, I mean, I wouldn't have liked that sell either, to be honest. But you get what I'm saying. There's just not much volume here. If there's no volume, like, then there's no momentum. We want to be involved in things that have momentum, things that are moving, not things that are just chopping. We don't want to get chopped up with them. So ICP starting its drop here, and you got a new 4-hour candle. It's because of that. All right. Yeah, I don't like that close. But this is the trading range. So if it could wick under here and stay above 247, I could potentially be a buyer. If it just collapses down below that, then I'm not interested at all. There's too much selling pressure. The sellers are so aggressive on this that if it were to break down under that, that could be where the stops are. You could see a pretty sizable move lower is what I mean. Let's see if there's a big increase in volume here. Yep, there is. Okay. But they're all sellers. Mostly sellers. I mean, it's situated nicely for a short squeeze. It really is. I just don't have a level here that I'd be interested in participating in it on it with. The more time that goes by. Oh, this thing is disgusting. Yeah, aggressive selling pressure. Aggressive selling pressure. There's not much liquidity on this. That's even worse. That's even worse. Holy cow, dude. There we go. Yeah, it's probably getting ready to go down there. Let's see what it does. Ooh. So everything looks good except the candles are wrong. They're wrong because it doesn't look like that on weeks either. This is what it looks like on weeks. Essentially, I just want to see if the buyers can defend this. If they can, then I can get involved. If they can't, I can't. Because this is your trading range right here. I need to see that the buyers are willing to step up here. If we are, we can put a little bit of money at risk. Not a lot, but a little bit. The buyers aren't making a lot of money holding longs, but they still are being paid. So depending on how much time would go by, basically what I'm trying to say with the time factor, like you've already broken down. So if it just does something like this, then I could be a buyer, as at least you would have some indication of time that people are buying it. You need something, right? You can't just buy lower low, lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low. You need to see something happening. If you try to buy lower low, lower low, lower low, you're just going to get ran over. We don't want to just get ran over. We don't want to just throw, bad money after bad. So if it could give me 30 minutes to an hour just accumulating under this level, then we'll throw a little bit of risk on. It's already 12 o'clock, so chances are it's going to run down to 248. And I need to get ready. I got a meeting at 2:30. I always set my meetings after noon. That's why most of my meetings are afternoon, because I want to trade in the morning. And then after the morning, I'll do whatever people want to do. But so I got a meeting at 2:30. I probably won't get involved in this because of that. I gotta eat. I still gotta get myself something to eat and then get a shower, get ready, and stuff like that. So I probably won't get involved. But if you're going to watch ICP, if it can hold at least an hour and a half in a tight range under 251, then I could potentially be a buyer and just set a stop like down under this low right here. Because that is a 4-hour low. And if the buyers are showing up, if you are seeing bids show up, buyers show up, then that would be a decent place to be long and mitigating risk for potential momentum. This is another thing I would like to see. I would like to see bigger 1-minute candles up to the upside than what I'm seeing on the downside. That can be a pretty good identifier that you are in fact starting to see buyers show up. I wouldn't on this one specifically because you're oversold right now. You could just be seeing that bid demand showing up specifically because it's overbought. That might not be enough to stop it going lower. But yeah. I like that it isn't just collapsing. That's a good sign. I mean, you're above everything too. So this thing could literally be setting up a nice little short squeeze here. Just keep it on watch. We'll see what happens to it. That's probably the only one I would be worried about. That one and Nvidia is probably tomorrow. The problem with the leverage bet on ETH, excuse me. The problem with the leveraged bet on ETH is the assumption that it will be the stablecoin adjacent play. Yeah, because it's got competition. All right, there's competition out there, and some people think that the other one's better. The other one being, damn it, it's just slipped my mind. Solana. That Solana's better than Ethereum. And the fact that what's his name sold some of his ETH. That's not a great sign either. You want to show confidence for your product or your whatever your, it's not a product, whatever it is, right? For the thing you own. Him getting out doesn't show that confidence. So that's a big problem right there for the Ethereum. All right. It's the first major token ledger, but outside of being a glorified calculator, the only thing it has is stablecoins. Well, I mean, you can build other smart contracts on it, and I mean, but you can do that. It's got competition. That's all it is. It's that. So one could watch like ETH versus Solana, and maybe wait for some kind of break. But it's even hard to find things like that anymore. There aren't very many exchanges that even track ETH versus Sol. It looks to be doing better than Solana right now on the near term, this month, last month, and the month prior. So it is better than Sol, or at least it's outperforming Solana. It's just definitely not outperforming Bitcoin. Bitcoin is outperforming Ethereum right now. If this were to stop happening, then maybe ETH would be a good investment. So maybe ETH is just, maybe the investment on ETH is just a little bit early right now. I think that would be probably, we don't need these. We won't need those until they become relevant. They are not relevant yet, as this year's is more relevant than last year's. All right, so let's track monthly support on ETHBTC. So lowest closing monthly candle, and then obviously that candle's low. That's the range ETHBTC is stuck in. So it tried to break out above February's high twice, and twice it failed. But that's not a great sign. I'm not even going to joke. That's not a great sign. I don't know that I could be a buyer here where it is currently, but it looks like it's up now because my thing is going crazy here for some reason. It's back up now, but yeah, ETHBTC might want to head a little bit lower down to 2877. It looks like it's a fresh breakdown. This could be a bear trap, but the chart looks good for lower prices. If I was a bear like up here or even up here, this is what I would want to see happening. But let some time go on. If the sellers are not that aggressive under monthly support, then maybe one could be a buyer right here at 29.33. You might be able to get it up to here or something like that. Take profits. First take profit level obviously would be this swing high first. But that's only if it holds here. You do have the breakdown right now. So Bitcoin is eating Ethereum's lunch for now. Bitcoin's starting to struggle here a little bit as the dollar is not fading. It is not rolling over. It's a very small intraday sideways candle, which is not what I want to see being a dollar bear. I want to see the dollar head lower. I hate that it's here. There's so much support here. This could be here for the next 3 months. And I don't want it to be that way, but it could be that way. I still like it lower. As long as it's closing days below the 21 exponential, I would be looking for lower dollar prices. But anyways, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading.